I'm Frank Close, and my latest book is called The Infinity Puzzle, and this is the story whose punchline is the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, which has cost the equivalent of $10 billion to make. And the purpose of it, we are told, is to find the Higgs boson. Now, who is Higgs? With such an expensive boson named after him, you'd expect that he'd be a household name, and he hardly is. So part of the purpose is to tell you about him as a person and a scientist and what it's all about. Why the infinity puzzle? Well, the story is really starting over half a century ago, when the theory quantum electrodynamics, which describes how light interacts with matter and makes the stuff that we all made of and are used to, that theory was wonderful as long as you didn't go too deep into it. One moment it appeared to be giving a perfect answer, but then you did a little bit more and suddenly you got infinity. Now, infinity is beyond measure. It's basically telling a scientist it's nonsense, that if you keep getting infinity for the answer, you haven't got a theory. It's as simple as that. Well, that they sorted out in 1947 for the electromagnetic force, but then attention focused on the weak force of radioactivity, the force that changes the elements and cooks elements in the sun and the stars. And that stuck around for 20 years. Nobody knew how to deal with it, until a contemporary of mine who started, a graduate student in Utrecht named Gerhard Toft, he solved it in his thesis. And in 1971, when the solution to the infinity puzzle was presented, it was a sensation. And from that moment, the whole nature of physics changed, and we moved towards our modern conceit that rather than spending our time asking what is matter made of, we could ask where did it all come from? What was the creation of matter in the early universe? And that is now beginning to be answered. So what about Higgs? Well, the fact that Toft was able to do what he did was in part because Higgs and others had done what they did. And it's the and others that is the big issue. There's a lot of controversy at the moment as to about whether there should be a Nobel Prize, and if so, who should get it or who should share it. Now, I have my own opinions, and I hope that when you've read the Infinity Puzzle, you'll be able to form your own opinions upon where prizes should go. And then we can all see whether the Nobel Committee agree with us or not. So I hope the Nobel Committees read this, and it'll help them form their opinion. You can assess whether you think Nobel Prizes in the past have been given to the right people, or whether people have been overlooked. Because this is a story about the people who do the science as much as the science. Scientists are people. They have the same desires for competition that all of us have in all walks of life. There are saints and there are sinners, and you'll find them all in this book. So the Infinity Puzzle is a story of 60 years of science, from the end of the Second World War to the Large Hadron Collider, and looking forward to what we hope to find and the questions for the 21st century.